have you on the show. Sorry, we don't have tea today. Let's fast for today.
Okay.
But anyway, a few episodes ago we had a conversation on contraceptives. Helen was here. She was really kind. She talked about all these many short-term, long-term contraceptive methods, particularly the ones for women. I mean, because men really don't have that many options.
Yeah. It's our burden to carry.
It's our burden to carry, yeah. But that kind of got me thinking why this conversation is important in the first place. And Offset, you were saying earlier how there is no information. Yeah. Well, you think there is no information?
Yeah, I think there is no information.
Innocent. Say the information is there, but
it's not put out there.
It's not put out there, and I feel like it is an important conversation to have, especially in a world where young people are every day sexually active, more than.
Yes.
For, of course, with the exposure that we have now and whatnot, it's much easier for young people to engage in sexual activity, which, if you do not have the information, they go downhill.
True.
You either with HIV, STDs, or unwanted pregnancies. But also, I think a few weeks ago I was talking to a doctor. I was actively looking for a method to use. I'm not yet sold on the on the hormonal plants. Because I have seen like the effects they have on people, and I know
the myths that are out there.
No, like I'm now more aware of the facts of that. Like Helen said last time, the effects depend on your body and how you connect to that different thing. I'm just not sold on. I'm not willing to take that risk anyway. Like to find out how will this one affect me and whatnot. But I know that the options that I would use are either condoms or the IUD, which is not hormonal. Really. It's just there. For us. For a good long time. The decision really comes for me is because like I have plans for my life. And
babies are not part of those.
Not now. Not now. Like at the time where I am in my life, like
I would like to know what Innocent thinks, since you are in school right now.
I'm in school right now.
And of course we know right now it's a choice to have sex whenever you want to have sex. It's your choice, it's a personal choice. And children, girls as young as S4, S1, guys are really open to these things right now. So what happens when, you are having sex, you have decided to have sex, but then there's the issue that I might get pregnant. And do I get an abortion? It's still really traditional here. The law does not allow it, so where do you go? So it's, what do your peers do?
I mean, my outlook on the entire thing is everyone should use contraception until they're ready to have a child, right? And I think for most of my peers in medical school, at least, school is the contraceptive. You don't have time for co-curricular activities. So
I like how you call sex a co-curricular activity.
It is. So, but otherwise, personally, a child right now would be a huge stumbling block in my process. Like I have barely started the journey. So having a child, this is an entire human being who is depending on you, and I just can't imagine it. So currently, I'm using contraception, abstinence.
100%.
That's the only way you win.
It's the only 100%, method available. And I've seen girls, I know girls who have, gotten pregnant during campus, and I've seen the effect it has had on their lives. And, we all want to be positive about it and say, it's a good thing, you have a new life. And I suppose there's some happiness to be had, but it's also stressful. It's super stressful and expensive, right? So, personally, contraception is the way to go. And we need to all know that.
I feel like from your position as a medical student, it's quite
easier.
These things. It's education for you. It's information you have constantly. I think you should even be able to give it out to as your I think you do rounds.
Yeah.
So you should be able to give it out. But then what about the others? Like what's the information out there?
Right.
Do we even know? And then you talk about abstinence. It's abstinence until the time when you decide to have sex. So then what? Is it again a gambling? Are you going to do it the Bible way, withdraw, which is also a sin in the Bible? Yeah. And so as you're abstaining, you're just pushing off the conversation about contraceptives, right?
Eventually.
So when you do decide to have the baby, then what?
I mean, okay, so yes, as a medical student, this information is much, much more readily available to me, And the deeper we've gone into the medical system, the more we've seen that the information is there, it's available, it's properly packaged. It can be sent out there, but for some reason it's not being sent out there. So I suppose at that point the onus falls on us to take it out there. And personally, I try to talk about it when I can, if I can. Usually if someone comes to me, I'm very happy to speak to them about it. And of course with abstinence, the eventuality is you're going to stop abstaining, and at that point then you take on another method of contraception. A different method of contraception, not a proper method, but a different one. And I don't want to use contraception while I'm not having sex, because what's the point of putting your body through it when you're not going to use it?
Yeah, okay, so for me, when you talk about, like, when you say something like that, is it worth putting my body through it? Like, for me, that's just even scary. Like,
true.
Like, abstinence, fine. Yeah, it's probably the easiest. Maybe not so easy for people who are, like, really sexual and they want to engage in sexual activity. But, like, the thought of the things that I have to go through just to not, I feel like there's no winning. Yeah?
I take the approach of abstinence, but more and more.
That's making me look bad.
No, it's all right. It's a choice. Everyone is entitled to theirs. Now, more and more I start to think that I am being really irresponsible in thinking that at some point I will, like, when I want to have a baby, it will just happen.
Think about it.
What about when I don't want to have a baby and I am married? But no, you're not supposed to call them unwanted pregnancies.
Unplanned.
Babies are what? Babies are blessings. I think it's also a thing about just being irresponsible and burying our heads in the sand. And I think as a country, the hiding of the sex talk is doing us a big disservice.
Yeah, that
it's
is
just something that we have to embrace, and it's really part of us, and well, engage.
Well, if we're not having it in school, I think ultimately it goes back to parents. So in the next segment, we're going to have a doctor. I would want to hear from her, because I know I'm not the only one who has issues. Like, I want to know what effects does that then have on my general sexual reproductive health if I choose to have a certain method. What does that have? Like, what do I have to deal with? Like, how can I be prepared for that or whatnot? I don't know.
I'd also be really interested in her debunking certain things that I've heard. I keep on hearing. Immediately I hear about the pill, I see fat. I just see rapid.
You're worried about this?
I see rapid weight gain, because that's what I usually see with people taking the pill, or unstable emotions, almost going to mental health instability. I want to know, is that true? Then I would also hope that she would debunk. Okay, she would speak to the guys and the fear of being cut.
Or how they can be supportive.
How they can also take this burden and not leave it just to the ladies, just to their partners, and how they can also protect themselves, because ultimately they're the ones who are going to pay for. Okay, they'll be the ones who are supposed to pay.
Shared responsibility.
I mean, with the point of information being accessible to people, I think, so when we were younger, it felt like we were being given that information more readily than we're being given the information now, like actively given to us, like the straight talk magazines and the young talk magazines and that kind of thing. And I think it's because they had this mentality that these are still children and we need to guide them and whatnot. So now that we're adults, they believe
you're sorted.
Yeah, you're sorted. When you want the information, you'll go and look for it. Because like you guys mentioned, we still look at sex as this taboo thing, and like everything that's around it should not be out there in the open. And also, I don't know if it's because it costs money to talk about these things, to put these things out there, and are the people responsible willing to put in the money required to, you know, spread these messages? And even when these messages are being spread, are people going to listen?
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
I think the idea is to figure, probably they're not yet there, but I think the idea is to figure out a way to make that message effective. If people are not listening, how do you get them to listen? Yeah. Sure. How do you package that message in a way, like how do you influence them to make the right decisions? The alternative would be for organizations to start to think about how to make the message more effective. I think the organization like PSI, for example, are doing that work. They have the information that you need. We have doctors where you can go to ask their
mainstream channels and
the places
working.
are there. Mainstream maybe they will work for people who have access to radio and things like that. There's a thing I used to listen to. I think it was a play. I don't even remember what it was. I think Rock Point or something. Yeah, on radio and whatnot. But maybe it works for certain groups of people. But you'll find even people who are elites like us or still don't have that information. Like you're walking around with your nice clothes and cars and whatnot, but you don't you know nothing. You know nothing, Jon Snow. But I feel like platforms like this, for example, you don't watch TV to watch the news or to find, you're always online. That's why you find your news. I feel like this is a great opportunity.
I think so too.
For us to package that information for people who are online, for example, young people who are online. So we'll have Dr. Joanna Naloga to kind of answer some of the questions that we still have, or the many questions. Some of them came online. Some people sent in some questions in the DMs and whatnot because, no one wants to tell the world they are having sex. Well, it seems that when you ask about contraceptives, it seems like you're telling the world I'm having sex.
So why do you want to?
Maybe you're not, but you're planning. So anyway, so I guess we could ask Dr. Joanna. Yeah.
We are here at Olive's Restaurant and Bar in Nakuru, opposite the surgery, which is our new home. Come through, visit this beautiful place for great pizza and really nice whiskey.
Okay, so I was talking about how, like, I'm been actively looking for a method that I could use here, especially with how my life is going. It's kind of putting things in order and whatnot, and I feel like having a child right now would kind of disrupt the plans that I've made and things like that. How do I know that the method I have chosen is
suitable for your body?
Is suitable, or if I'm using it, how do I know that I need to get off this plan and there's a problem? Yeah. For example, I've heard of irregular periods and things like that. Some people take
failure rate
to have
failing within a shorter time.
Sometimes you've said I'm not going to have a child, and then you're on this plan, and then the child happens. Then the child happens. Oh, you don't want them, but the child happens.
Maybe you could also tell us also about how then to get off it when you do want a child.
Okay, so the first thing is acknowledging that you actually need to have contraception. That's the first basic step. The second one is looking for places that can best give you advice as regards to the knowledge that you seek. Okay? Best people to give that are probably medical people. Could be doctors or nurses, and also there's some peer counselors, people who have been trained in reproductive health. So not every method is for every person. That is why you must have an in-depth conversation with a healthcare provider about what suits you. So WHO, that's the World Health Organization, set up a criteria for which person qualifies for which method. Yes. So I will come to you, Patra. Okay, you'll come to me, then we shall talk. I'll ask you about your medical history, about your lifestyle, about your plans. How long do you, how much time are you planning for? Is it short term? Is it long term? Are you on any medications? Have you had surgeries before? Do you have any underlying diseases? Do you have any allergies? So all those things help us minimize the effects a particular drug would cause a person. So that's what helps us zero down to what now suits you. Okay. You say out of the 8, we can maybe take like 2 and then we decide. So it's never, I don't force a method on you, neither do you force one on yourself. Yeah. Okay? But we go through all of them and we choose which one best suits you based on medical history, surgical history, any allergies, any drugs, lifestyle, like that. And that way we minimize side effects, much as they may be there, because nothing is 100% perfect, but they're really, really very minimal.
What about, you said something about any doctor, any nurse, or any trained specialist, any trained person in sexual reproductive health. Are you saying that any doctor can give me this information? It doesn't have to be an OB-GYN?
No, any doctor can give you, because that's stuff that people are trained to do, even from undergraduate. When they are studying, it's something they're supposed to do to educate. However, providing some methods can be a bit limited to only particular people. For example, insertion of IUDs and implants. So not everyone can do that. So the best they can do is help you select a method, and then you go to the next person to provide it.
Right. Just before, say I have a partner. I've decided we're going to wait. What steps do I take? Is it any clinic, or are there particular places that I can go to for these things? And also, like you mentioned about the IUD and the implants, is it any place, or there are specific places that I can go to for that to be done well?
Okay. So I will not speak for clinics, because those ones are individualized, okay? But let's go to the level of a hospital. Any hospital will give you those methods for hospitals. However, even some medical centers can, but I cannot speak for them, because you can't know what they are doing anyways, because they ain't controlled so much. But any hospital can give you those services. And even if they don't, they can just give you the information which you need and refer you to a place where to best get it. Okay?
So any hospital can insert, give me the implants and the IUD?
Yes, if they have trained people.
If they have trained people.
Yes.
What about
but the information they can freely give anywhere.
I'm just like Patra, I have concerns because there's so many, I don't know, as concerning contraception, there's so much, there's so many hearsays about it, and I think maybe because of our society, but so many funny stories that go around. Like I know a person who inserted her IUD, had it inserted, and I think it was supposed to go for quite some time, and then it failed within a very short time. Now already there, for even if she tells 2 girls, it's going to go out that maybe this thing does not work. Is it that it does not work, or it was inserted badly?
But it's funny how the one patient who got effects will scare so many people, yet alcohol kills people and they still take it. It's like everyone knows smoking is bad and what, but still they just keep on smoking. You understand? See, it's the same thing. That is why we do not tell you it's 100%. However, some methods are more effective than others. But also, I know you think it's some ambiguous thing, but it ain't. It's a matter of just talking through each thing at a time, and you decide. It can be done in one day. For example, you come to me, we talk 30 minutes. We know this will work for us, we go for it. And I'll tell you when we can stop. If we think it is not being the best, you can always switch. It's not like a permanent thing forever. You can always switch to something else, or also stop. For example, I saw a patient yesterday, a maid. So she told me she was doing the injector plan. So I told her, when did you last get one? Then she told me 6 months ago. I'm like, hey, but I think it's 3 months. She's like, yeah, you know, when I'm working here in Kampala, I put my injection. When I go to the village, I want to, I may get a kid, so I don't take it. So you see, it depends on your lifestyle. The worst one is short term. So for her, when she would want the kid, she would be sure that when I find the man anywhere, you know, I can get my kid. But if I'm in Kampala, I have to. So if you come as a couple, we decide what goals do you have and in how much time do you plan to either start a family or to space the births you already have. So it's not a really complex thing.
So what I'd asked earlier about, like I'd asked, how do I know that I'm on this plan and it's maybe not working?
Getting a method is not a one-way street. It's reversible at any one point in time. For example, if your IUD goes for 8 years, but for 6 months you're like, you know what, me, I'm done. We can always take it off. But also, once you're in the method, we tell you, if this and this and this happens, then we can always switch. So those you will know based on the method you've chosen. Because now we cannot tell you for all the methods. So the one we've agreed upon, now I will say, but Patra, when this happens and this happens, I think then maybe we should change to something else like that. So it depends on a particular method. But also, side effects don't have to be that you bear a kid. Some people, for example, get headaches with some methods, and that's very serious. Someone gets a migraine and they can't work, they can hardly sleep. So I will tell you, when this happens for this method, then we shall switch to something. And some methods, for example, initially, you maybe have your infections, okay? And they do heal. But some methods make them to come more often. So that one, we can now say, now that they've become more often, let's switch and give you one that won't affect any of that system. So it depends per method.
True. Okay, let me ask
and then
this.
something else about weight. In regards to weight gain, there are known side effects of a drug. Of this one, because there's this. This one, because however, there are also things that are associated. Not really, we can't say they are proven facts, but they're associated with a particular kind of method. For example, some method makes people gain some weight. And yes, people report about it, but if we do controls is like research, we don't find anything. So yes, it's not really proven, but it's associated. So even when I'm discussing with them, I'll tell you, but some people say this and this can happen when they use this and this
So
method.
they're not yet proven.
Yes, we try to prove, but they didn't show any correlation, but it's just an association.
I know, like we've been talking about contraceptives for people who probably don't have children and want to hold on for a while and whatnot. But I want to also ask for people who already have children, or young women who have like one child or two children, but want to, like, have decided I need to chill. Earlier I was telling you about situations I've had where someone has just had a baby is 8, 6, 7 months and whatnot, and they discover they're pregnant again. So as soon as you have a baby, and you want to maybe hold on a while before you have the next one, how long before you get on a plan? Like after you've had the baby. Yeah, is it when the baby is 2 months, 3?
Is it when you get your period?
Yeah, like at what point?
So, in that, now let's switch now to family planning, because now they already have a family, so now family planning sounds better.
Yeah.
So that family planning talk begins when someone is pregnant. Once you come to us and you're expectant, we take you through that family planning procedure. We tell you about the methods available, even when you're still pregnant. Even some people can even say, Doctor, now me, I want now tubal ligation. But you consent for that when you're still pregnant. So you sign for it when we cut the female tube so that the egg won't come. Okay, yes. So that one, someone consents in antenatal. You can imagine. That's why the talk begins from. But also, we tell you what methods you can use at what point in time. It's an ongoing talk. Every time you see us, we keep going back and forth over the same thing. In that, we're on the same page. Even after delivery, we tell you the same talk. Okay, now last time we say this and this, what do you think? Because the method they are given before discharge at home, like you've just given birth now, but maybe you go home in the next 2 days, the methods we can give you before you go home. Then there are those we give you after 4 weeks. Then there are those we give you after 6 weeks. So that talk, it's a continuous thing, and you keep deciding until we get a plan. Some people don't even want at all, despite all the numerous talks. So it's an ongoing thing.
You know, I asked that is because, like, I know that, for example...
And then maybe something small. And some people say, I do not want no drugs, no injection, I'll just breastfeed, which is actually a good method. However, it used to be very effective in, did I say 8 years? Okay, back in the day, because people never used to work. I know, I just remember that. Because people used to be home, so it breastfeed baby every time, and it would work. Yes. But now, I breastfeed, so I go and I work.
Breastfeeding keeps you from
Yes, it does.
Having another baby.
Yes,
that's new.
It's a method. It's a hormonal. It's a non-hormonal method called lactation amenorrhea.
Okay.
When you breastfeed baby, it secretes some things which make you not have your peas. Of course, no peas, no pregnancy. So before, we used to be very committed to the breastfeeding activity, like every time, breastfeed baby every day and night. But now, I breastfeed then I go to work, then I, so it's not really saying it's irregular. That is why we kind of have those mishaps, like 4 months now again you're pregnant. Yeah. But some people, even when they are faithfully doing that, the pregnancy can occur depending on a particular person. That is why the failure rates are higher in lactation and the method of what? Of withdrawal. Like
so
that.
So for a person who's just given birth, should they be on the lookout for their period?
So it's regardless of your periods, but we just at any time there's a method suitable at a particular time. There are those we can give during delivery, post-delivery, a few weeks after, then a few months after, like that, depending on the method. But ideally, by 6 weeks, a mother should be on a method if she has chosen to be on one, because by 6 weeks is when you're past the delivery, we call it puerperium. It's when it's done. Yeah, so by then I think you should have decided. But it's not forceful, it's an ongoing conversation.
So I'm getting, early on I asked a question, like that whose responsibility is this? I think for many times here in Uganda we keep saying it's the government. So I would ask that how come we don't know these things? How come the information is not widespread? Shouldn't we be having billboards telling us all about this? Because we keep saying we're one of the youngest populations in the world. And I'm wondering, is it by intention that we desire to have these children, or is it by accident that this is happening?
The responsibility is it's on different aspects. First of all, it's individual. It's for a person. But that's for a mature adult who goes out to seek what they want to know. For example, let me say a person who's above 18 and they can seek some information, they always find it. But also, it's a social duty by the health workers, because one of the, how do they call them? One of the duties of a healthcare person is to do health education, health awareness. Apart from treatment, it's your role to spread out this information. However, it's also a government's role, because they're the ones that implement these policies, okay? And they provide these methods. Okay, and you pay your tax, and they have to give these things for you for free. So it's everyone's responsibility at a particular age. However, for a kid who is below 18, initially, there are restrictions that this kid must come with a mother. But over time we figured that a kid can come alone. There are those people who are like 14 but can make decisions about their life. Okay? They are serious about their life and they are aware of what may happen and they are willing.
Do you get that just from talking to them, or because I can come when I'm 14 or 15 or 16 and I really have no idea what I just walked
That is
into
why the counseling session helps us out. We go through all those things. Okay. So even now, sometimes when a kid comes alone, we actually can give a method depending. Yes.
So what happens? Is it possible for such a child? Is it are the contraceptive methods limited? Because if they do not come with their parents, is it that any operation can get done, or is it just limited maybe to the pills, the hormonal methods?
it's limited depending on what we've discussed. Okay, according to your lifestyle, your health, how feasible it would be for you to take those drugs, how acceptable is it where you are, the stigma around those things, so then we decide for you. But obviously it will not be a long-term thing.
No, I meant
permanent.
I meant, like, can you do an operation? Can you do an like the IUD and the implants without their parents' approval?
That is why I've said it cannot be long-term or permanent. IUD is long-term and operation is permanent.
All right.
Because you're not adolescents, today you're high, the next day you're not. So we can't give you a long-term thing.
Do those methods, like, when we went to talk about age and whatnot, I thought about it. I'm like, our bodies are different when you're a teenager and when you're an adult. So maybe as young people, 14-year-olds, 13, 16 and whatnot, do they respond differently than adults would to these methods? Like, and I fear that the risks or the effects are more dangerous to them as younger people whose bodies haven't yet fully developed to.
The effects are not age restricted. However, they can be restricted by weight. Okay? Yeah, some people who are very, how do they call it? Who have a high BMI. I won't say fat. People who have a high BMI of about 30.
Patricia, you wouldn't know.
Why? Because I'm small, guys.
You figured it out yourself.
Yeah, so it's body mass index, like she said. So we take your height and your weight and do some multiplications therein and get a value. So above 30 or 30 means you're big, fat, weight. Okay, yes. So those ones are the ones whereby some hormonal
must be like
won't be very effective. But also, people take other drugs and they also want birth control. Some drugs sabotage the effects of these. So, but age per se, no.
Okay. Right.
What would you say to? This is kind of off the biological conversation, but it's more a social situation that we have, a social problem. What would you say to people who shun, like, they're so shy to even attempt to get this information, so shy to even go to a doctor, to the extent that even to the people who shun the antenatal visits, because there are also people like that, and not only the people in the rural areas and things like that, but then the people who have conspiracy theories about elites,
medicine
actually,
in general,
about
anything.
Why do they keep giving us those supplements? Why do they? Those things are the things which are going to make us infertile and things like that. So, what would you say to such people who have such ideas?
Okay, the first thing we need to know is that health workers / government should put out information that reaches everyone, okay, and should be so easily understood. In that, of course, we will not beat the perceptions. Everyone has their own myths and word, but at least when the truth is out, people can always relate.
That's right.
The truth and want aid. And also, this information should be so everywhere in that everyone can get it. It shouldn't have to be in a particular kind of place. And other people have tried, because you realize, like in villages, most commonly, there's always a place where people get birth control. There's that family, there's that flower thing, which all of you have seen everywhere, but you've never gone there, right? Exactly. But also we should be so accepting and address the reality. That yes, guys have sex at whatever age, and yes, having sex has consequences, okay, which we all know. And those consequences, some of them are life-threatening and some are long-term, okay? And yes, having family planning or contraception is okay. And it's normal, and it should be acceptable for everyone, and it should be accessible for everyone. And by the way, these things are for free, okay? But more so, we should have the information that we seek to allay us anxiety as regards a particular method.
Thank you so much for your time.
You've been really amazing.
Wealth of information and
thank you too.
And it's been enlightening.
It has.
Yeah.
Glad I helped.
Like,